All right. Okay. I think we're live. Yeah. Can we hear in the chat? Everybody there on YouTube, can you hear me okay? I will hopefully get some feedback that y'all can hear me, and then we can move forward. Okay. All right. Thank you, Kimberly. Okay. So, welcome to Humanities 101. I'm Dr. Hazlett. I am your professor for this semester. And again, welcome. I know that a lot of you have already begun the projects on the Google Classroom, so I thank you for that. Today, I just want to kind of touch base with you, let you know the kind of structure, what to expect, and then from there, this semester, these will be regular on Tuesday. I will have this available for everyone on Tuesday so that we can get together and talk. Sometimes we'll be talking about the topics at hand, the various menu projects, and other times we may just be answering questions because a project might be coming up, a deadline, and I want to make myself available to you. Even though this is an online class and this is asynchronous, I still want you to know that I'll be here every week at this time so that we can meet. Again, welcome to Humanities 101. If you're not familiar with this class, if you're taking this for credit at Henry Ford College, welcome. If you're auditing this just for your own interest, welcome. We do have some people just auditing the class to check out to see what we're all about. The Humanities 101 Fall 2004 classroom is live on Google Classroom. If you did not get that link, again, please email me. The email address that you have either through your college email or my humanities101.org email, which is doc@humanities101.org. You can send to either of those emails. Some students all semester send to both. I have no problem with overkill. If I get the email twice, that's twice as likely that I'm going to answer it quickly because it'll come on my feed twice. So feel free to email me at either email address. You can always, contact me there. It's the quickest way. Some of you have noticed that I'll get back to you within seconds, unless I'm sleeping or otherwise preoccupied. I'm pretty quick with the email. So please make sure that when you get that Google Classroom link that you take some time to familiarize yourself with the Google Classroom. There are some different sections. There's the Intro to Humanities section, which kind of gives you an overview of the class with the welcome and intro materials. It also gives you links to all the social medias. So you can find me on TikTok, which I'm streaming on right now. You can find me on, I think the only one that we didn't get to today is X, because for some odd reason between last week and this week, X decided that if you're going to live stream, you got to pay for a premium account. And I say absolutely not. So I'll figure that out in the next week or so, and we'll figure out if we can't stream to X. But I know that we stream to LinkedIn, we stream to Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok. So there are many ways that you can catch these Tuesday discussions. This what I'm calling kind of Tuesday lunchtimes, kind of a check-in at noon. I'll come up with a better name for that. Just got to give me some time to think about it. So the social links are there. You'll also see some kind of general information about how to take an online class, how to navigate Google Classroom in general, and then some basic information about cultural studies and humanities, why we study it, what is it, how we do it. All of that information you should take time to review. It's not a lot of information, but it is information that I find important and find useful for the next semester. So you'll find all of that information there on the Google Classroom. As well, you will see the mandatory assignments. There are 2 of them for this semester. And then you'll see the menu assignments, which again, there are 2 of them this semester. So 2 and 2, okay? There are 2 mandatory assignments. The first one is the never attended assignment. and the second one is the lecture live response. The never attended assignment is a simple introduction. Well, maybe not so simple. It's not the typical who are you, where are you from, what do you do? It's a little different than that. Of course, this is Humanities 101, so it's going to be a little different than that. So if you are taking the 15-week class, you'll want to submit your answer under the 15-week never attended. I know some of you have already submitted that under the 12-week never attended. That's for the students who start on the 12th of September. There are the class is kind of staggered, but after the 12th of September, we all meet here and we'll get kind of going with a little bit larger class, and it makes the discussions a little bit more interesting as well. So that's the first assignment. You need to have done that by the end of this week. Okay, I have to submit never attended at the end of this week, so you need to make sure that you've done that. To date, 140 students have done this. This is great. Okay, a majority of you done that. There's just a few students that need to get that done. The other mandatory assignment is a live lecture response. Going forward with these Tuesday lectures and the various interviews that I'll be posting on this this channel, you can pick any number, any one of those, right? Any one of the lectures, any one of the interviews, and I want you to simply respond to it. Now that is due November 1st. That is a midterm assignment. Okay, so again, you kind of see that how I divide the semester is the mandatory assignments get done at the beginning of the semester, the menu assignments then due for the final. I set those dates so that you keep those kind of dates in mind. November 1st, midterm, December, roughly the 1st of December, final project. All the final projects do. So as long as you respond to one of those, you'll have your midterm assignments done. So 2 mandatory assignments. Now, the kind of most confusing thing about this class, when students hear mandatory, no problem. Then they hear menu and they think, what the hell? How can I choose my own assignments? Welcome to my class. After years and years of teaching and reading papers, and I used to teach writing, reading papers that I didn't want to read because students didn't want to write them, I have decided that I wanted to kind of let you choose. And since I can't write a choose your own adventure textbook, I will design a choose your own adventure class. So you're going to find these various menu assignments. And there's the food anthropology, the 20th century history and cultural studies, the holidays and humanities, making the world accessible, and the prove you're human. There are 5 that you can choose from. Okay. And out of those 5, I ask that you choose at least 2. If you want a passing grade in this class, you choose 2 of those assignments. Each one of these units, okay, each one of these menu projects have within it its own reading, its own lectures, its own questions and research to do. And so you could be taking this with your identical twin, and they could be taking a completely different class because they are more interested in culinary history, and they're more interested in personal reflection, right, than in the idea of universal design or in the idea of, why do we celebrate holidays as humans? So basically what I ask that you do is go into each one of those menu assignments and kind of explore and see what each assignment is about and choose the one that interests you. Because I will tell you, if you choose the one that you think is going to be easy, it probably won't be easy. Because these assignments are deceptively simple, right? You do a little video proving you're human. You do a little video about your favorite invention in the 20th century. But I ask you to define, what does the greatest mean? What does invention mean? Because it doesn't have to be particularly a thing. It can be an idea. It can be a movement started by a person. I want you to be free to experiment, explore, and make some mistakes. Right? Take a chance on something. I have had students in the Prove You're Human paper. I had one student last semester create a video, and what she did was answer the questions, right? She recorded herself answering the questions, and then being an artist, she sat through and did one of those videos where she drew out the story as she told it, right? So it was time lapsed. And so she sat there and she planned it out, and then she overlaid the video on top of the narrative, and you could see her telling her life story. And then when she pulls back at the end of the video, there's this awesome image, which is literally an artistic representation of how she's human. She got an A+++ on that assignment. And I had other students that polished, and they got, because they didn't get into, right? They polished the video, but they didn't worry about the response. They didn't worry about the meat that was on the bones. They got a B+, right? I mean, it was a beautiful project. It was an excellently edited video, but it was a lot of nothing, right? Because there wasn't any substance there. They didn't get to the heart of the question. When I asked about a favorite childhood or most memorable childhood experience, and they were like, going to Cedar Point because it was fun. Next question, right? And again, that's a question a computer could give. I went to Cedar Point because it was fun, right? AI could give that answer. That doesn't prove you're human. So I want you to have some fun with this. And I really am from the Pixar school of education, in that I want you to, I'm saying this word, don't freak out. I want you to fail. I want you to take risks, and I want you to fail, because in this class you are free to fail. In that, if you make a mistake and if you screw up and you take a chance, I'm going to give you credit and grace for taking that chance. You don't get that in a lot of classes, right? But we need that to learn. And as students, that's probably one of the most important things that you can overcome, is that fear of failure. Because the only way you're going to make omelet is breaking some eggs, okay? So I want you to explore your thoughts. I want you to explore your interests. And this is also why I make these menu projects, because again, if you're a culinary arts student and you're like, the last thing I want to do is take the Turing test proving I'm human, well, then check out the 20th Century Food Project, right? Again, I want you to find interest in what you do, even though I know a lot of you are taking this class because you're forced to. Because you were told you had to take a humanities class, you grabbed a list of classes, Humanities 101 was there, boom, you were done, okay? So all of that stuff is there on the Google Classroom, and you'll notice that there's even extra credit. Now, some people have already started doing extra credit. I don't want you to turn in the extra credit now. I won't look at it till the end of the semester. Okay. If you want to do one whole paper with your 6 different experiences, because you can turn into up to 6 different cultural experiences or new experiences for your extra credit, you can do so. But I want you to, again, get credit for doing new things. So if you are in a class and you are experiencing new things, I want you to take notice of that new experience. What did you learn from that new experience? Some of you may be taking the history of rock and roll and going to Cleveland to go to the Rock Hall. If you've never been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, write a paper about it. If you go to the DIA for an art class, you've never been to the DIA, write a paper about it. If you've never been to a fall football game at U of M and you're going this year because a friend's got tickets, write a paper about it. All right? I want you to now, while you're young and your brain isn't completely screwing yourself up, okay, with all of its, they're all going to laugh at you voices. I want you to experience new things. This is the chance and the time where you can practice neuroplasticity that will last throughout your entire life. So if you try new things and you try new experiences, and even if you say, I don't like that, you know enough to know that you've tried it and you don't like it. Now, again, in the extra credit, I plainly say nothing illegal, nothing unsafe. All right. So I don't want you to say, I stole a car because my humanities professor said it was cool to do so. I am not taking the rap for you. So make sure that it is safe. And I'm saying that as well, knowing full well that I have some students that say, I've never been to a political rally. I want to go to a political rally in, this place where, again, I want you to be aware and conscious of your surroundings. And I had a student once, I'll just tell you, I had a student once who wanted to protest at a political rally in her hijab. And this was after another woman in a hijab had been violently stripped from a campaign rally, right? With chance of lock her up and beat her up and shit like that. I did not want that student going to howl and getting hurt. So other than I gave her 2 options, I will go with you and I will stand in front of you, or I will give you credit for the idea of doing it. And I want you to write a paper about the experience that you saw and your experience about watching that, seeing that happen, and why you felt compelled to go. Okay. And I'm getting goosebumps because I just thought about, oh my gosh, the horrible things that can happen to people in the name of science. Okay. So I don't want you doing that unless you're safe and you're confident and you're comfortable. Okay. But I also want you to have the ability that if you've never been to visit your cousin in Toledo and have lunch at a restaurant there, Tony Paco's, okay, which is a famous restaurant, I want you to be able to do that. Use me as a little bit of an incentive and say, well, I'm doing this for class, mom and dad. And you can get 2 experiences out of there, because let's say you've never driven out of state. You've never been to Toledo to visit your cousin, and you've never eaten at Tony Paco's. There's 3 papers. One day, 3 papers, right? I've never been to the Mackinac Bridge. I've never, whatever. Again, go to Shell City on your way up, stop at the Mackinac Bridge, eat at a new place, try new food, and bam, you've got 4 papers, right? The most important thing with the extra credit thing is I want you to understand that learning doesn't just happen inside of a classroom, and learning is not just a thing that is imposed upon you. It's something that I think we do naturally as humans. And when we stop doing that, we cease to kind of be fully human. Okay. I think it's counter evolutionary to not grow and progress and change. All right. So that kind of explains the whole class. Again, just a general nutshell. If there are questions, feel free to roll them through the chat. I know that we've got live viewers. I will try to look over here too and watch the TikTok and the various streams so that I can see that. But I pay attention mainly to the StreamYard chat, which gives me the YouTube comments, the Twitch comments, all of that stuff. So if there are questions, feel free to post them. But the other thing I want to talk about is on-campus meetings. If there is interest throughout this semester, I want to hold some on-campus get-togethers. Not mandatory, completely informal. But again, we have a fine dining restaurant on campus, and I would like to hold some, extend invitations for students to meet me for lunch. A lot of students don't know that this place exists on campus, that it offers cheap food, good food, and our culinary students an opportunity to work their craft in the real world. But also, it'll provide us an opportunity to break some bread and talk. Okay. And it may not be about Humanities 101. It may be about your math class. It may be about how do I get financial aid, whatever. But I want to check in with you for the students who want checked in with. And I want to feed some students who want to be fed. Okay. So I think it's kind of a win-win. All right. I get a decent meal. I don't eat that much nowadays. I'm an old man. You get a decent meal. Chef makes some great freaking pizza pies on campus, as well as other stuff. But students always seem to gravitate towards the pizza. Wood-fired pizza, how can you go wrong? And you get something to take home. But I'll be posting those throughout the semester, and probably putting those up on no, AJ, you're fine. You can stay there. I can see everything. But I'll be posting those on Eventbrite. And so that way because I don't want 160 students showing up for a lunch because chef will kill me. And I will tell you that having worked in the kitchen, the one thing I don't want is the ire of chef, and especially Chef Joe, because I love the man. He is brilliant, but brilliant chefs are usually pretty tough people. And Chef Joe is fabulous, but I want no reason to give Chef Joe a reason not to like me. So I will set reservations, right? And I'll have a standing table, but basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up $0 tickets, and you can go on Eventbrite and get the ticket, right? And then meet me for lunch. And even if you don't show up, no big deal. But that way your seat is reserved if you do show up, and you can grab some lunch in between class. And I'll probably offer it different days. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays are the days that they run the meals. There will probably be a Wednesday or a Thursday, because they run dinners, that I'll come in for a lunch and a dinner. And I'll say, hey, I'm going to do 2 events today, right? So if you're interested in that, pay attention, keep posted. I will probably run one. And if there's interest in that one, I'll run another, and so forth and so on. All right, this is something I'm trying new this semester because students said that they would like to meet. We kind of impromptu did it last semester, and they said, well, you should make this a real thing, a regular thing. So some questions are coming in. So this is great. How long does a presentation video for the menu projects need to be, and how do we post it and send it? All right. So I always tell students 3 to 5 pages, 3 to 5 minutes. Those kind of roughly translate. And there are many ways that you can post the video, but probably the safest way, if you're worried about anonymity and privacy, is doing a private Google Drive. You make that available and accessible to doc@humanities101.org and ahazlett at HFCC. Both my email addresses, make it accessible to both of them. Share that with me, right? And then at the end of the semester, and this is the great thing about this, and this is why I do this, at the end of the semester, you can rescind that access. So I no longer will have access to your information and your materials, which protects your intellectual property as a student. So I highly recommend that's what you do. And in the individual assignment section, it has a section where you can post a link, upload a link. That's where you upload that Google file link, right? It gives me a share link. It gives you a share link. And the great thing is that you can even make it a public share link, and then just, after the paper's graded, you can get rid of it, but you can do private shares, right? Some students already have social media and they want to post it on their social media. That's fine too, right? So if you want to be very public about it, and you want to hashtag and you want to tag Humanities 101 in it, awesome. If you want it to be completely anonymous and private, awesome. All right. Again, it's a choose your own adventure class, right? Now, how the other question was, hold on, I need to scroll up so that I see this. Do I have to show myself, or can it be just a voiceover? A voiceover is fine, right? But again, if it's a private video, please know I'm not showing it with anybody. Your information is protected under federal privacy laws, what we call FERPA. The assignments are posted for the entire semester. They're all up there. Okay, that was one of the questions that came through AFRA. Let me see. Correct me if I'm wrong, but what I understood was in order to pass an A, you must do 2 mandatory assignments and 2 menu assignments and get to the heart of the question. You are correct, Manal. 2 and 2. That is the bare minimum. Okay, so to get your grade, and I see AJ is posting answers. AJ is my trusted right hand, our teaching assistant for this class. So if you see answers posted in Google Classroom or here on YouTube by myself or AJ, you can assume that if AJ answers that question, AJ knows the answer. If AJ doesn't know the answer, AJ contacts me and I provide the answer. That is just another way. And again, AJ is doing this voluntarily, and AJ does this because, like me, AJ believes that learning takes place as a community. And this is another benefit of having this community of learning, as well as the kind of college learning that you're getting. Okay. So let's see, is the video separate? Menu projects are what I'm talking about when I talk about videos. All right. So I see the questions, and this is again the benefit. Notice that some of you have asked questions. You're seeing those questions posted in YouTube, and you're already answering that. Guess what you're doing? You're building freaking community. All right. And I love it because you know that answer. You see somebody else struggling with that question and you provide that answer. That's the human thing to do, right? So you're already succeeding in Humanities 101, people. I see you, Manal. I see you. Okay. So Abrar, I answered the question about submitting. If you didn't catch it, just go back in the video a little bit and you can kind of see. Do you want work cited at the ends of the video's paper? Do you prefer a specific format? I do say MLA or APA for the paper, but as far as citation, yes, I at least want informal citation, according to a study by BBC in 1999 or something like this, right? Because the reason why I say informal in the papers is because you want to do the same in your videos, right? You want to source that information. However, if you're sourcing a YouTube video, it's a little different than sourcing a paper. So in that, I give the students who write papers a little bit more leeway with citation. If you want to do a formal citation page, great. If you want them all to be informal and in the body of the essay, that's fine too. So according to a study by John Smith and BBC in 1999, that's enough information for me to find. In the 21st century, I believe that if you give me the author, the date, and the title, that is more than enough information. That if it exists, I should be able to find it, right? I don't teach writing anymore. If you want me to review and make sure that you can write a works cited page, you can let me know and you can turn it in and I will give it that eye. But I will not give every paper that eye because this isn't writing class. I'm looking at the ideas. And I spent so many years with a red pen correcting participle phrases and comma splices that I moved permanently to teach Humanities 101. All right, because I'm more interested in that we communicate, not how we communicate. Really, I'm more interested that we communicate. Okay. So examples of the video, there are many examples of the videos online, which is why I ask students that when they do publish them publicly, that they hashtag them. So if you go into Google or if you go into YouTube right now and you hashtag Humanities 101, you hashtag menu projects, you hashtag Are You Human, Prove You're Human, Turing test, you search those and they're going to come up. Throughout the semester, I'll be sending those to you, right? But again, I want you to explore and I want you to think about this. I don't want you just in the next week hammering out 5 assignments and turning it in and saying, I'm done. Because that is the number one way to fail Humanities 101. If you pretend to be human in Humanities 101 and you pretend to experience a learning experience and then you fake it, and again, I have had students offboard the Prove You're Human to ChatGPT, and it proves to me that ChatGPT still has flaws. To me, again, just as your classmate said earlier, the only assignment is 2 and 2, and then I get to the heart of the question. Yes, get to the heart of the question. Struggle with the question. Even, hell, debate the question. Say, you can't ask that of me, Hazlett. How dare you? That's fine. That I'm interested in. I had a student once who took the Turing test, and I will try to post this for you if he made it public. Again, this was up to him. But he took the test. He had his friends take the test. Then one of his friends ran through the questions through ChatGPT, and then they all 6 sat around and tried to guess whose answers were whose and whose answers were AI. I sat through 47 minutes of an assignment. Again, just waiting for a pin to drop, A+++++++++, and it wasn't the time that the student spent because all that student did was sit down and have some drinks with friends that night and attempt an assignment. I've had students, again, in this class together, even though they turn in 2 separate papers, right? Because you'll have 2 separate assignment places where I can put the grade. They do the project together. They interview each other for the Turing test. They work on the food anthropology project together and they talk about the 80s, let's say, and they talk about the middle class, but they talk about Pizza Hut and Coca-Cola or Pizza Hut and Pepsi. Or I had students once who did a very interesting where they talked about the cola wars and one student did Coca-Cola and one student did Pepsi. And they did a history of each and then they did a crossover episode. And so the beginning of their project was separate. And then they said, email us for the second half. And I thought it was brilliant because they also made sure that I watched their project. Because had I just slapped an A on that thing, they would have known I didn't really read it. So they kind of put a booby trap in there for me. And I emailed them and said, what's this email you for the second half of the project? And they said crossover episode. And then they emailed me with the second half where Pepsi and Coke got together and had a battle. Because if you know about the cola wars, you know this happened. And Michael Jackson got his hair burnt in the war, right? He was one of the main, casualties of the great cola wars. All right. He and Alfonso Ribeiro. Poor Alfonso Ribeiro. All right. No, I'm kidding. Again, you can be creative with this. Feel free. All right. Miriam's asking for the NA assignment. You only have to do one NA assignment, right? So if you're in the 15-week class, the 80s or 90s section numbers, you only have to do the 15-week. If you're in the 50s, 51, 52, 53, 54, Humanities 101-53. You haven't even started class yet, so you are not even watching this until 2 weeks from now. So every student that is here now, every student that's watching this that has signed up for this class and is currently enrolled, because I have some students that are already in the 12-week class sitting here. I know you. I see you. And that's fine. That's fine. 15-week students only have to do the project or the never attended assignment that correlates to your weeks of class. So if you already posted it in the 12-week, that's okay. I will find it. All right. And I will make sure that next semester I don't post the 12-week until the 12-week students show up. That was my bad. I learn. See? So your confusion helped me realize I'm not going to have that confusion next semester. I will make sure that I take that time to make that clear. All right. So I'm in your class. I was looking at the Google Classroom. Yes. And again, Talk, you showed up a little late. I explained all this at the beginning of the video. So if you go back about 20 minutes, you will see that I explain the assignments. And that's also why I do this. I do this because you could be here, you could be sitting here, you could be listening to me. And by the time I say, okay, well, I'll see you next week, you could say, well, I missed everything, right? Just like in class, right? You daydream, you go somewhere, and this is how life happens. You now have a record. You can go back and watch this. Okay? And no, I do not want anything emailed to me. I want everything submitted in the menu assignments. If you go to click on the menu project details, right? You click on the details, it's going to have a submit section. It's going to have your deadline, and it's going to have a submit section. That's where you submit your URL. That's where you submit your link. That's where you upload your video, right? And again, you don't have to make those public unless you want to. I have students who have, again, gone viral with videos because, they're already, famous makeup TikTokers or whatever, and they decided they want to do a greatest invention project, kill two birds with one stone, and make some content. And so they did their makeup tutorial videos while talking about, some blushless makeup that was created in the 90s. They did a little history lesson, and wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. They got extra credit because they got more views than I ever get in social media. And again, they're getting that message and that information out there. And that's the most important thing. But again, it's not required. So don't, bust your hump, because there is no method to the madness. The only method that is assured is if you pay for that. And I don't want you paying for your grades. All right. It's kind of not good. And there's no way that, I can verify that all that stuff. You just worry about the meat, and anything that comes later, it's all gravy, baby. Okay. So other questions, other concerns, other issues, and I'm looking at all of the various sections and places to see if there's any comments. I don't see any. All right, just some random people on the TikToks. All right, and again, the social media links are available. In the social media section. There are links section of the classroom info. Classroom intro. There's also, if you go to humanities101.org, that is my charities and my foundation's website. Okay. That's how we have this YouTube channel, all of that other stuff. So as well as work at the college, I volunteer. It's an nobody gets paid at Humanities 101. That's why AJ's a volunteer. I'm a volunteer. But we volunteer because we work on universal design. And we work on making the world a little bit more accessible for everyone, which is why I try to make this class as accessible as possible. Okay, so putting the practice into performance, and you help me help other people make classes more accessible by doing this. So the more you complain to me about this class, the more you complain to AJ about what I do or do not do, the better we're going to be in the future. So I welcome your criticism. I welcome your questions, and I welcome your challenges. Okay. You are really, again, I'm saying this with all honesty, you are not going to hurt my feelings. If you think something I'm doing is bullshit, you want to call me out for it. All right. If I can't tell you why it isn't, we won't do it. And that's always 100% been my professorial promise to my students, that if I can't tell you how this meets the curriculum, why this meets the curriculum and how we're doing it, meets both of those, I will jettison the assignment. And there have been times in the past where I've had to do that. I hold myself to my word. All right. Just like, if I'm late with returning things on a deadline, I reward the class. Luckily, with online classes, that's not a big problem. But in face-to-face classes, that has become an issue. And I have rewarded the class when I am late. All right. How long? Okay, grades. This is a great question. Thank you for asking that, Miriam. I will be grading roughly on Wednesdays. I will be sitting down for a couple hours and grading every week. Okay. I'll grade what comes in starting about 2 weeks from now. Okay. Just because I want students a chance to think about the topics and deal with the assignments. The first round of grading up until November 1st. Okay. Anything that you turn in and that you get a grade and you're like, whoa, this isn't right, you can resubmit it. All right. So any menu project that you turn in between now and then, and you're like, Hazlett finally graded it after November 1st, right? Because that's when I sit down and do a bunch of grading, right? But usually I will get to it and I'll give you some feedback between now and then. If you don't like what you see, you could resubmit that, right? So that way, when I sit down on November 1st, I see a whole new project and I will grade it as a whole new project. I will do the same thing roughly by November 15th. I do the same thing then, at the end of the semester. I try to keep up, but I can't promise you to turn it around in a certain amount of time, because you may turn it in Friday night and I may not see it until Monday morning. So I try to go in every Wednesday in the morning and grade. I literally have a schedule here that I'm holding myself to. And I have roughly from 10 to noon and beyond on Wednesdays, depending on what meetings I have, because some Wednesdays I have meetings. So some Wednesdays I'll be doing more grading than others, but I at least will be sitting down every Wednesday and looking at what's turned in and trying to provide some feedback. Okay. Now, if you would like real-time feedback, email me. Let's set up a meeting. We can meet in the Google Classroom, Google Meet. We can meet in a myriad of different ways, right? We can even meet on here on StreamYard, not on YouTube, but we can meet in private, right? And all Zoom. There are a whole bunch of different ways to meet. And we could sit down and one-on-one go through your project. And that is, students ask, can I send this to you for feedback? Yes, but it requires you and I sitting face-to-face, even if digitally, and talking. That's the payment, right? I want to know you. I want to talk to you. I want to have interaction with you, not just words. So that's what I require from my students. And I will meet you when you can meet. So if 5 o'clock a.m. is the time to meet, if you are overseas in Yemen and you're like, look, I need you to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and meet me because that's when I can have internet, that's when I will meet you. And that's my promise. Again, something I promise even to my face-to-face students. We live in Detroit. It's a city that, I know New York is a city that never sleeps, but we industrially never sleep. And I have students that would get off work at 4 or 5 in the morning and they would want to meet with me before they go home and go to bed. And I would meet with them for breakfast at 5 in the morning before I went into work. No problem. All I need is advance notice. Okay. So that's why I'll be giving you that when we be coming to campus, having lunches, discussions. And that's another perfect chance to come in, sit with me face to face and say, hey, after lunch, can we look at my project? And I'll be like, 100%. Because when I come into campus, the only thing I'm going to be doing is focusing on you, your lunch, and our discussion. Okay. Okay. So there's another question. Are we writing a paper, recording a video for just one project? No. You, again, have 2 menu projects, 2 mandatory assignments. The mandatory assignments are already posted. The menu projects are already posted. You will choose 2 menu projects. The projects themselves tell you whether they're papers or videos. Most of them are videos. Most of them are videos because I am sick of reading ChatGPT papers. That, guys, please, please, please. Whatever your ChatGPT writes, my ChatGPT can detect. All right. I pay for monthly super uber premium service, right? My wife is an English teacher too. Just it's very obvious. Okay. ChatGPT has a voice. It has an authorial voice. And when it comes in, it sounds like Mr. Spock. And so I've watched way too much Star Trek. Please I would rather you say, I need an extension than turn in a ChatGPT paper. Okay. So turn on a camera, sit down, and just start answering the questions. Even that will be a better project than putting the prompt into ChatGPT and hoping that I don't figure it out, because I'll figure it out. They're horrible. Okay. Yes, totally. Talk asks, if it's a video, can we read off of a paper? Yes, it does not have to be extemporaneous. You are not being judged on your presentation skills. All right. I have students that have, shot 5 seconds of a video, then they cut and shoot another 5 seconds. Then they cut and shoot another 5 seconds because they're absolutely afraid of being on camera for more than 5 seconds. That's okay. Again, I'm not judging you on the video. I'm looking at what is on the bone. What is the meat, right? Okay, so welcome, Travis. I see you there. And Miriam, yes, you bare minimum, you have to do the 2 mandatory and 2 menu. If you want to make sure that you get an A, do 3 menu. If you want to make sure you get an AA, because some students are just, I want to be sure, do 4. But I always tell students that if you only do 2 menu projects, you only do the 2 mandatory projects, you don't turn any extra credit, you don't do any menu projects, and then you email me at the end of the semester and say, I've done everything I can to get an A in this class, I will respond to you that, no, you didn't. And that was a lesson that I'd learned from one of my professors, which is why I'm not a broadcaster, because I didn't do extra credit. And he said, well, then you're not going to get an A in this class. And I said, well, I earned an A in this class. And he said, yes, but if you want to go into broadcasting, you have to go above and beyond. And unfortunately, that means working for free in this industry. And I said, oh, absolutely not doing that, and walked away. So I am not going to trick you like that. I'm putting everything out in the open. But some students want to assure that they're getting an A in Humanities 101. They want to make sure come November 1st, that class is out of the way. That class is assured A. Do 3 projects. You'll be set, right? And I really hope that they're fun and they're interesting. If you're in the middle of a project and you're like, this absolutely sucks, I hate this, please know that it will show in your video. It will show in the paper, because all of a sudden it will start to sound like this, and it will sound like you are forcing yourself to write the paper, and that the paper is absolutely the last thing that you want to write right now. Again, set it aside, come back to it. Okay? I want there to be some flavor. I want there to be some joy. I want there to be some failure and some mistakes here. It's okay. All right. Other questions, other concerns. I'm going to sit here and stare at the screen and, whatever for a few seconds while I'm waiting. And YouTube, I could play some royalty-free music. Some 8-bit royalty-free music that is completely open source and free to use. I might have a whole playlist. I'm just saying. I might have a whole playlist. So, okay, yes, Travis, failure is the greatest teacher. Next to me. I'm kidding. All right. Any other questions? Any other concerns? Again, this is maybe longer than this is probably the average. Usually I keep these to about a half an hour. I try not to go any longer than an hour. The only time we'd go longer than an hour is if I'm just shooting the shit and I got to burn my ass. There may be days I come in and all I do is read the newspaper with you. Okay. Because, or there may be something that happens, right? And we have to talk about it in class because it's humanities class. And, for instance, in this class in March of 2020, we changed gears. And we talked about how would one survive a pandemic? How would one survive time on a desert island, right? What are we going to do for the next 6 months? And that's what we talked about, because I figured at that point, that was a better use of my skills, knowing about human suffering, human joy, than talking about the Turing test, right? So I am nothing if not flexible. So if things come up, we may be talking about those. And again, make a video showing us how to submit a video assignment. Okay. I will look because again, if I find one on the YouTubes or the Googles that does it better than me, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. So I will look and I will put this on my board. Give me 2 seconds. So we want upload tutorial for classroom. All right, I'll search for that. And if I post it, I will post it. Hold on, let me scroll back over so that you can hear me. If I post it, I will post it onto both the announcements section of the Google Classroom, and I will put it into the resources for you. Okay, so I will make sure that I do that because that's a great. I believe. Let me double check. It may already be up there, but it may be old. How to succeed classroom tutorial. I will make sure that that's done momentarily after this class. After I leave here, I will make sure that there's a tutorial posted, okay? To show you how to upload a video in Google Classroom, because that's really what you're doing. You're uploading a video in Google Classroom. If there are other questions that you have, right, this is a great way to email me and say, hey, professor, what about a resource with this, right? Because if you have that question and you have that hole of knowledge where you want to fill it with that resource, I guarantee you one of the other 240 students in this class do as well. I guarantee you. Okay. And so let's work together to fill all of the holes in that knowledge. Because when we collectively ask questions and collectively answer, everyone benefits, hurts no one, helps everyone. All right. So I will make sure that that's posted probably within the hour. Okay. Other questions, other concerns? Going once, going twice. All right, so continue. And I hope your other classes are going well. Continue onwards and upwards. If you do have questions and concerns, if things pop up, even unrelated to Humanities 101, and you're saying, wait a minute, why haven't I gotten my financial aid? Or wait a minute, why is my math teacher not meeting class, right? Feel free to email me. Feel free to post that question. Okay. I used to deal with orientation for all students at the college. And if I don't have the answer, I'll find the answer for you. All right. I don't want you groping in the dark here in this experience. And so if that is something, if there are questions, even unrelated to Humanities 101, but related to the school, let me know. Okay. I'm happy to help you. That's also why we do those lunches. Okay. So I will see you next week at this time, noon every Tuesday. Maybe even some Thursdays, but if you haven't subscribe to the YouTube channel so that way you get the updates when we go live. There are times we may just go live in the evening, depending on who I get to interview at that time. And if they want to do a live interview, I may just pop up and go live. I'm hoping to get some really interesting interviews for you this semester so that we can meet some people from around the world and get some new experiences. All right. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Enjoy the hot ass weather and stay cool. All right. I'll try to, so you do the same. Oh, you can't turn on notifications because it's a kids channel? It always asks me if it's a kids channel, and I always say no. So maybe it was just that one video. I'll double check that too. I'll have my people look at it. Thank you for letting me know. Maybe if I can end the stream.